Hello and welcome to the Digital Zone. It's my pleasure to welcome Minister Schulz for a candid conversation, a few minutes conversation, but on very important topics. Thank you for taking the time out to join us. Minister Schulz, you've been instrumental in starting the World Bank reform process way back in 2022. I remember it very clearly. What motivated you to do
Hmm.
that, and where do you think we are now? Are you sort of satisfied with the steps we've taken in these 2 odd years?
Yeah. I think we need to realize that we have different challenges now than 10 or 20 years ago. Seeing what the pandemic makes with the world, seeing what climate change means for the people, that needs to be also reflected here in the World Bank Group. And with the evolution process, we bring that forward together. We see that what is changed and what that means for us. And I'm really happy with the speed of the
Thank
process.
you.
I know it's hard for the whole World Bank, for the whole group, but it is important that things are seen now with this new scorecard. It is more transparent what we reached in the World Bank. And I'm really happy that there is given such a lot of attention to inequality in the scorecard. I think being aware that fighting against poverty, fighting against hunger, today means taking into account that climate change is real and that we need to deal with that. And that is now in the vision of the bank, that is in the doing of the bank. That is the right way. And I'm looking forward to continue this process.
Yeah, and you mentioned the vision of the bank, and it sort of marries the two things together so well. Eradicating poverty on a livable
Yeah,
planet.
yeah.
But in that context, let me thank you really for being the first mover in supporting the hybrid capital instrument from shareholders. You announced it last year. That has encouraged many others to
Yeah,
follow,
yeah.
and we will be celebrating with Ajay tomorrow. But again, how do you see the importance of mainstreaming some global challenges with cross-border externalities in the operational work that the World Bank is doing?
Mhm. First, we discussed about a better bank,
Yeah.
but we also need to take into account that we need a bigger bank. And so I was committed to say, now we are on the steps to a better bank. What we can do to make it a bigger bank? With this new course, I want to be give a signal to the other ones that that needs also money. And with this hybrid capital, that is a really good opportunity for us to bring the money into the banking system. And I want to send a signal to the others, to G7, to the AU,
Yes,
that they also need to bring the money on the table. And they do so.
they
And
do so.
so we are
Yes.
successful in that. And creating not just a better bank, but also a bigger bank. I think seeing all the problems in the world, seeing where the money is needed, that is something that is needed. So, fighting against climate change, fighting against biodiversity loss, of being prepared for the next pandemic, fighting against hunger and poverty. That is what the bank is doing, and therefore we need all the money.
Yeah. And talking about that, you very nicely laid out the challenges that the world is facing today, especially the countries which belong to the IDA set of countries, the low income countries. And as you know, this is a replenishment year for us, IDA 21 replenishment year. We are going through the process, and Germany has been a stalwart in standing by our side as we go through these processes. Where do you hope we will be by the end of this year for the
Yeah.
IDA 21 replenishment?
Thank you for saying that. But I am convinced with Germany,
Yeah.
that is not enough. We need more on deck. We need all hands on deck. We need
Yes.
more who are committed to support the bank, because there are a lot of fears that with the new vision of the bank, that we forget the poorest and that we forget the one who are hit by hunger. That is not the fact. We are with IDA. We need to show that we're doing everything to support the poorest of the world. And that is what IA is doing. And so I'm advocating that with Germany, with the World Bank, much more of the countries bringing their money and being convinced that that is the right way, because it is needed. At the end, we need the efforts of all stakeholders, and that is the year now where we are advocating for that. Germany is convinced that that is important, but we need more donors, and we need more donors that give not so much money in the past, but now they need to start to support their system, because multilateralism works. And we can show that here in the banking system. We can show that in the World Bank and in the working together with the other multi-development banks. And that should be a strong signal to the world. Give the money to all the good projects that are going forward here.
So I don't think I can do better than that. You've really laid it out so well. Just one last quick question. With all this going and such a busy schedule, is there anything that keeps you up at night? What are you optimistic about?
Yeah. What me keeps up at night is all the wars around the world, seeing what that means to the people, seeing the forgotten wars in Sudan, seeing the situation in Congo, seeing the war against Russia, from Russia against Ukraine, what that means to the world, what that means for the prices of food. So that is something that keeps me up at night. And at the other hand, the reform of the World Bank shows that multilateralism still works, that we are here together despite all the differences we have. We are working together here for the benefit of the people, for the poorest in the world, and fighting against poverty and hunger on a livable planet. And that is what we are doing all together. And that gives me hope. And I hope that gives hope to all the others.
To me, certainly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.